All right, so talk about opportunity. I'm going to have Mr. Mello come up and join me, as well as Mr. Santiago Sandoval in a moment. But Mr. Mello, come on up, because he is a very important part of the district-wide K-12 Future of Education team. And this is a really exciting team. You heard a little bit about this when you heard Mike Lee present for technology a couple weeks ago. And Mike Lee blew your mind with the wonderful AI programming that is available and out there, the types of tools, right? He showed us Notebook LM, and you remember that podcast that just came out of nowhere within 30 seconds of him entering some information in. And that is a learning we had from part of our journey through the future of education. A couple of years ago, I would say it's 2 years ago now, generative AI hit the scene. And we immediately jumped into trying to better understand what it was, what it did, how it impacts school, et cetera. And BOCES, PNW BOCES did the same thing. And they said, you know what? Everybody's looking at this. Everybody's wondering about this. Let's bring the region together. And let's have cohorts of teams come together to be able to study generative AI together. We have a lot of questions. We have no answers. Nobody really seems to have answers. So maybe we can find some answers together if we put our heads together. So we started exploring through this cohort called the Future of Education. So what we did was we formed a team of about now 9 educators, administrators, and teachers from all the buildings once again to really represent our district. And we joined this cohort model that Putnam Northern Westchester was going to put on. They had a kickoff day in the month of June in, I want to say it was 23, and then for the 23-24 school year, we met 4 times with BOCES, meeting with all sorts of districts from around the region. I listed just a few here. There were 4 quarterly meetings. And this is our team that attends that meeting. So Matt is one of the administrators that is on that team with me, as well as teachers who teach technology like Stephanie Tricala and Keith Fiore and Jen Bruno, as well as our IB coordinators. IB is such an important part of our school. How could we not include that perspective in anything we do with generative AI or anything we learn about with generative AI? So that was really important to have our coordinators at the table, and our wonderful library media specialist, Mary Friend Main. It was important to have her perspective, so she was added to the team as well. And we knew if we stayed committed and went to the meetings and then came back to our district and continued to meet to debrief and reflect what we learned while we were together with all of those other districts, we could come up with a plan for Putnam Valley and what we knew we needed to do to get ahead of this change in the educational landscape. So I'm going to turn over to Matt to just kind of talk about the professional learning we engaged in.
I'm not actually here. This is AI-generated me. I'm in my home, enjoying this meeting. But it was a unique opportunity for a collaborative team of teachers to get together in our district, going over to BOCES for these quarterly meetings, and then Jackie set up meetings with this Jerry Chrissy, who really led our work outside of the BOCES work. To help guide us in all the different things that are out there. You can imagine if you start to look at AI, it is a very, very massive amount of access to information, use of information. I mean, you could go on and on and on. So it's really, taking a moment to try and weed through all these different avenues that were opened up with generative AI, given the opportunity to investigate a lot of those different avenues, experiment with them, and get a deeper understanding of where we might be going in education. A lot of it started with like a fear of, we're never going to know if students' work is real or is it created by, AI, and it really became much more than that. I think that's where everybody started when we talked about AI, and it ended up with, well, let's move away from the fear of what AI is. Let's try and embrace this, and let's see what we can do and where we can go with it. And I think that's a lot of what our professional learning was about.
Thank you, Matt. So we did have the support from Jerry Creasy, who is becoming a nationally known name, if not internationally. He was a former director of technology and innovation in Scarsdale. He had retired, and he was really on the cutting edge of this. He was experimenting with all of the software, all of the platforms. He was creating AI-generated music. He was creating AI-generated books and papers and voices and people and artwork. And I said, okay, this is a person who really is studying it, spending his time understanding it. Maybe he can come and he can give us a little bit of background that we're not necessarily getting at BOCES during the time we had them. And during this, we also said, you know, we really need to start thinking about our teachers and what they need, what kind of professional learning they need, as well as what kind of guidelines they need. This is a vast new addition to the educational landscape that we don't really know what to plan for. We don't know where it's going, and it's going fast. So we said, how do we support our teachers by giving them some kind of structure of guidelines to be able to guide their use of it, their work of it. We knew it couldn't be in the hands of our students due to Ed Law 2D issues that we face with our state. So we said, okay, well, we're not going to give the AI programs to our students, but our teachers certainly can utilize it. How do we train them in utilizing it? And how do we help them navigate if it's used in the classroom? So that was just something that Jerry helped us. He gave us a slew of different policies and even laws and things that he'd studied. We knew we didn't want a policy because that seemed too finite, seemed too final for us. We didn't want to lock anyone into something that was growing and evolving so fast. So we developed our guidelines. Our team, our committee, worked over the summer, came in based on some of the resources Jerry had provided, and wrote our own guidelines up for our teachers. They studied a variety of different policies while doing this to think about what are the most salient points we wanted to bring back. We sat with Jeremy. Jeremy came to one of our meetings with us to really get a sense, what does our superintendent want to see? What does he think is right for us? And he was involved in our conversations. We looked at our professional learning surveys of our teachers because we had professional learning days. After professional learning days, we'll do a survey to see what resonates, what they need more of, what they would like to see. So we studied that data, and then our teachers and committee came up with not only our guidelines, but a presentation so that when the fall came, we were able to present this to all of our staff. So every building has received this presentation. Every building has seen the guidelines. They have it in their hands. They know what they can do if they decide to, especially in the older grades more so, if they allow students to use AI in some capacity at home, or if they know the students are going to use it anyway. They have a red light, yellow light, green light kind of method for explaining whether or not they can use it and to what degree. So they worked very hard on this work, and I couldn't be more proud of the team for doing so. So where we're going with this, with our AI work, is we're continuing in the cohort this year. We will continue to meet after our quarterly meetings at BOCES. We'll continue to come back to the district, debrief, understand better what we learned or what platforms we're seeing. We've identified a platform that might be able to work for some of our older students. It's called School AI. That might be something that we pursue going forward so that we can teach our students, what AI is and how to properly, appropriately use it. We feel it's important that we are preparing our students for what they will encounter as they move forward into the world of work, and AI very much will be part of their world of work and their world of success. If they're going to college and whatnot, AI is going to be involved in everything they do. So what's our responsibility to make sure they're introduced to it, to make sure they understand appropriate uses of it, and still how to develop their own creativity, their own critical thinking, their own humanity, while knowing this tool is there and how to use it to benefit or help them, not to do the work for them. So that's really important to us. So we want to better understand how students are currently viewing and using AI. We're going to engage in an action research project this year where a teacher in the high school will utilize AI to some degree with the students to see how they use it to engage in work. And then what we want to do is interview them beforehand and interview them after and see their perspective and get their feedback on how it went, what what they thought of it, whether or not there was something they felt they were missing or something they felt that they benefited from. So it's a little action research project that Putnam Valley is engaging in. I'm proud to say that BOCES is so excited by how far along Putnam Valley is in our work that we're doing. They've asked us to present on several occasions to the rest of the region. So we've actually had an opportunity, Matt and I and Mike Lee, we've had an opportunity to present on a couple of occasions to this regional group consisting of all those districts and more. So I think we're on the right track with our generative AI study and our generative AI work. The Future of Education team will continue its great work with or without the BOCES cohort. I think this is an important program, an important committee, especially for what I'm about to show you next, which is another great opportunity that came along alongside the Future of Education work. And this is where I'm going to bring up Mr. Sandoval. Santiago Sandoval is from the company Transfer. And we had a unique opportunity last year to pilot virtual reality headsets that introduce our students to career exploration. So imagine you have a headset on that allows you to weld as if you are in a welding facility, and you are learning the skill of welding through this virtual reality work. Our students in the middle school are experiencing this. And as they move up through the high school, they will have had this experience and have also experienced the Trek app, which Mr. Sandoval will show you, so that they are prepared to really understand the offerings of CTE, of what is out there in our career and technical program at BOCES, and decide if they want to take the next step and take a program. So this is introducing them to even programs that BOCES doesn't necessarily offer, like hospitality, which, if you wanted to be in a hotel business and you wanted to learn how to deal with customer service, there are those skills built into this virtual reality headset. So I can't speak better than Santiago can, so I'm going to turn it over to Santiago to teach us all about Transfer.
Thanks, Jack. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Just move this up a little bit. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all about virtual reality. Just a little bit about me and my background. I actually grew up down the road, Route 301. I went to Haldane High School, so thanks for having a former Blue Devil present to you guys. I appreciate that. But I think I'd like to start, right before I started high school, my grandfather, who's a former 7th grade science teacher, sat me down and said, "Tell them you want to go to college." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because that's how you're going to be successful in this world. You're going to go to college, and you're going to have all the opportunities in front of you." And for me, that was just like a no-brainer. This guy had been there, done that, so I accepted that as gospel. It wasn't until my 10th grade year when we had a representative from the local BOCES, Putnam, Northern Westchester, come and actually talk about careers. And that was really eye-opening for me because I'd never heard of HVAC or a certified nursing assistant. I didn't know you could train to be a chef when you were 17 years old. That was, really eye-opening. And I think that for a lot of people, we're just driven down this one track that is what educators know. And that's just fundamentally not the way of the world these days. Like, not everyone is going to go to college and have that type of career, and that's great. So really what we're doing at Transfer is we're giving students that opportunity to experience what those careers look like through virtual reality. So really getting those hands-on skills, putting students in that virtual environment where you can try welding, where you can try to be a veterinary technician, where you can work on airplanes without putting them into that situation. So that comes in a couple different pieces here. I think the first one, as Ms. Levine mentioned, is Trek. So how do you give students that experience about what a career is like, meeting them where they are? And it's no secret that all students have cell phones, and we want to be able to give students that perspective, asking them simple questions like, do you like designing things? Do you like working with your hands? And then giving them a slate of careers that are in demand, that are going to offer a family-sustaining wage, that they may not have ever thought of before. My constant refrain is I knew about 5 careers growing up, and they were the ones that I had day-to-day experience with, and what my parents did. And there's just so much more out there, and once you're able to get that experience hands-on in that virtual sense, you're better able to make that decision and move forward in a way that's going to, really empower you in that way forward. So I know, we talk about using data to make decisions. That's really important for how we see the value of, work-based learning. Within transfer, there are the two sides. There's career exploration, giving students like a punchy 5 to 8 minute long understanding of what those careers are, a couple job tasks, and then an overview at the end saying, like, if this is something you're interested in, you can talk to your teachers about it. Allows them to rate that career from 1 to 5 stars. So if you have 10 students who are interested in carpentry that you never thought would have been interested in that before, you can really tailor your career exploration curriculum to that. And so this is just a quick slide about some of the data available to you there. You can get a sense of how many people have started, how many students are stuck in specific training paths, because that's the second side. Once you have that perspective, like, I had no idea that electrical work was so interesting to me. What do I need to know to be a successful, or what do I need to know to be an electrician? And then you can talk to your teachers, your guidance counselors, whomever, about the math skills that you need to be successful. And then within transfer, you can do things like learn hands-on what Ohm's law is. And I'm not sure if we have any electricians in the house. I didn't know what Ohm's law was before I started, but it's a crucial skill to be able to understand how electricity works. I'm not going to betray my ignorance anymore on that, but I know it's important there. So what we're able to do is just really meet the students where they are and then facilitate that growth using that virtual environment to make sure that they are on the path to be successful. And success doesn't necessarily mean going to an expensive 4-year school. There are plenty of ways to be successful without that, or use this as a starting point to go past that. So architecture. You have students who are interested in architecture. Wouldn't it be great to know how a house is built prior to, or know those fundamental skills to make that more real before you're able to get into that environment. So that's it for me. I do have the demo here, so I'm not going to take a bit of your time now with that. But if you'd like to see it, we'd be more than happy to show you what it actually looks like in practice. So thank you.
This is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I am so impressed. I love this. What grade does this begin? Jackie, at the middle school, I hope?
Yeah. You can, second half of 5th grade to, I say second, third career. So, Trek itself is really designed to be accessible, asking yes or no questions in a very simple way to get students interested. So,
the whole premise of this is man, it's something I've personally been advocating for years, that not everybody needs to go to college. There are so many careers out there that are rewarding and very lucrative. I have an electrician come to my house, $120 just to tell me that you have a problem, and now we'll fix the problem. And that's the truth of it. I just did that recently.
It's called the label.
So I love this. This is such a great eye-opener for our young people, because you're absolutely right. Historically, college has been that track, and it's not for everybody. It's not. And I love this because it gives everybody the opportunity to explore other avenues. I applaud this. I love this idea.
Yeah.
This is really terrific.
No, thank you. Yeah, around the country we're seeing a real decline in college enrollment, and that's because students they see the price tag associated with college a lot of the time and say, I don't think so. Like, I don't. They're not going to be able to afford it, or it just seems too daunting. So if it's always going to be there if you want to pursue higher education.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely.
You can start as an electrician and become an electrical engineer. It doesn't stop. So this is a great jumping off point for those individuals.
I think you have your demo participant.
Yeah. Hayden, what do you think of AI and all this?
I think this is a great program because it shows kids who may not know what they want, because a lot of high school kids have no idea. And I know people personally have no idea, and just having some sort of trial and some guideline to figure out what you want without going to spend all this money somewhere or taking time to go over to the go over to BOCES or do something. I think this is great. And as for AI, there's a lot of unknowns. I don't think it's great in the classroom, because the whole point of a classroom is for your own original thought to come out, not a computer to spit out some stuff for you just to like adjust. You're supposed to come up with everything. And then of course there's search engines to get your facts, but you're supposed to use your voice and not use the voice of a computer. I'm not really for it in a classroom. That differs from a lot of my peers. A lot of my peers like to copy and paste, but I think it's really new, and there's too many unknowns to make a decision whether it's in a classroom or not.
Yeah, it's that teaching students to be thoughtful and honest and, real and all that kind of stuff, in addition to how to use it. So, thank you.
How are you using this for the fifth graders? Like, is it the same program is used for fifth graders and 12th graders?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did include the screenshot here, but we have a hedgehog who kind of walks students through that journey. So the Trek app is really most applicable for those younger ages, to be able to make that decision early on, just like to show briefly what it's like. And then as they move on, they can go into the training aspect as well. So
what age does the training start?
Typically in high school. I mean, it really depends on the types of programs available. But yeah, high school, and then we're partnered with the Department of Labor as well. So they use it for their people returning to the workforce to show, there are a ton of in-demand jobs in New York State. One example that comes to mind is semiconductors. Like, don't you want to see what that's like? And that gains a lot of interest in that older group. But it's equally accessible to someone in the younger tiers as well.
What a great use of technology. I mean that. I'm blown away by this. I love this.
Really great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really great.
To get
Awesome.
some insight on what kind of skills you would
Right.
need
Yeah.
to
Right.
be good at something.
And whether or not it's for them,
Right.
as opposed to spending 4 years of college money on something
And
you
realizing-
really don't want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
really great. How is this available? Like, how do kids know about it? Where are they exposed to it? Is everybody exposed to it? Do they have to ask for it? Because I'll be sending an email tomorrow. Maybe
So I
tonight.
have to give a lot of credit to Melody Ortiz, one of our guidance counselors at the middle school, as well as Christina. But they are both, they have time with the students, and part of their units of study, they have a cell curriculum, but part of one of their units is the career exploration. So they are meeting with all the grades, and all of the grades are having some level of access to this. The headsets, which I should share, are actually part of a grant that we were awarded by the PVEF. So we must thank our PVEF, our Education Foundation, for their contribution to be able to further explore this pilot and really get it into classrooms with our students. But to have those headsets available, our students are well versed in these headsets. Many of them have them at home already where they play games on them, but these headsets are particularly, the software is uploaded for them to explore different careers. And I had Jeremy wear one actually recently, and he was in a stock room and he was just turning around trying to see where to go. But it feels so real. It's
yeah.
so real, and the students are actually really doing the work.
That is
I
so
had
cool.
the opportunity to be in a construction site and blow up a bridge from far away, but I was able to hit the thing and the bridge blew up, and it was like being there. It was wild.
Wow.
So it really is a wonderful use of technology. We're so lucky that we have an education foundation that's able to support programs like this, and we're so lucky to have wonderful guidance counselors who are so flexible and saying, okay, let's try it out, let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all learning this. I couldn't do any of this work without people like Matt and people like Melody and the whole team of the Future of Education, and all of our wonderful colleagues are always so ready to try something new and give something a shot. I almost never hear no. I might hear, okay, why, or what do I have to do, or when, or, but they're not no, and that's what I love about Putnam Valley. And
Excellent. Excellent.
this is a great opportunity for kids to begin career exploration early. And you know, like I said earlier, one thing that I love is that I'm able to do a mock interview for an Oxford University student one day, and the next day I'm watching kids navigate around a classroom while they're in their welding experience or whatever it is. It's just like there's no place like Putnam Valley where we can do things like that. So
I have a question for Sandoval. How did you end up on the career you're at? Because you made some interesting statements in the beginning that your grandfather pointed you towards college, and then later on, you seem to come to different paths.
Yeah, okay, it's a long and varied path. So I chose a college, but I ended up choosing a liberal arts college, and I wanted to get a sampling of everything that was out there. And then my first job out of college was working on a farm. You may be familiar with Glenwood Center. It's right down the road in Cold Spring. To really get an understanding of the educational aspect, because what they do is they train young farmers how to farm in this environment in the Hudson Valley. And I thought that was incredibly rewarding. So I thought that there was a lot of value in work and education. And then I'll skip a few steps. I got involved in a technology company that did talent acquisition, using tech to do talent acquisition for large companies, and really just trying to find people a match for their purpose. That was really what drove me, and I continue to do that,
I see that
now. So.
Cool. Great. Cool. Thank you.
Sandoval, congratulations. You've done a great job with all of this. So thank you for providing us this information tonight. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I know I wasn't asked to speak about AI. I just want to say a little bit about how we use it in the corporate world. We use it a lot as a thought partner. We use AI to kind of test ideas. And instead of just having it spit out an essay, which I know is really tempting, and I've wanted to have it write some emails for me, to really test ideas and really help you come up with something that's good. And that's right now AI isn't good enough for just a 10-page paper that's of any quality, but it is helpful to help you think about those concepts. So yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about a lot outside of my transfer role. So. Just wanted to do that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Keep learning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie and Matt, I also have a question for you. Jackie, before you run off. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this is being incorporated into the elementary school, or what activities are occurring in the elementary school? Because
do you mean career exploration
or just in general AI?
So we've had professional learning given to the elementary teachers, and we've discussed our guidelines with them and presented to them on several occasions. It's really not being utilized with the students. It's really the teachers helping them with, work product and efficiency, and if they are differentiating a lesson for multiple students, there are ways in which they can use it as a thought partner to think, okay, I have this level of student, this student, what can I do, or take this worksheet I've created, how can we level this particular worksheet for all the different learners in my classroom? Saves them time in their productivity, helps them with productivity. So that's really been how the elementary school has been utilizing AI. I would say it hasn't taken a big hold yet. I know there are pockets of teachers using it, again, in that way for their own use, but it's definitely, at this point, not being utilized with students. If students have access to it, it's because they have access at home or through an app on a parent's phone or something along those lines, but it's not something, the large language models, ChatGPT, those kinds of things that we're learning about, the generative AI. AI itself is everywhere. Siri, Alexa, you name it, there's artificial intelligence all around us, but the students are not interacting with a large language model through our devices or work.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you all.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.